Been west from east and north from south, with some blood in my veins, a little salt in my mouth. Seen folks of various stripe and spot. Most don't have much, few have a lot. Seems like everybody, no matter what they've got, have got something they like to get worked up about. Some idea who's in and who's out of those circles and squares they draw on the ground. Then they tell the people they can't look up and look around. So keep your nose tucked in and your eyes turned down. Make sure no one crosses over those sand lines.
All right, this is Tim Jackson, and I'm happy to have with me today Clint Alphin. Clint has a brand new video out for a song of his called Talkin Socrates Blues. It's a interesting song, and we're going to sort of unpack that a little bit. But first, Clint, welcome.
Thanks, Tim. It's good to be here.
Yeah, it's good to talk to you, and looking forward to digging into the song and maybe having you play a song for us a little bit later. But first, let's talk about that. So the song is Talkin Socrates Blues. It's a single with a video. I believe the song was produced by Nielsen Hubbard, but who also did the animations. But just tell us a little bit about both the song and the video.
Well, yeah, the song was a song that I had started writing. I was actually at a church meeting, and I was starting to scribble some lyrics down on a sheet of paper, and it's just I always enjoyed in those early Bob Dylan albums and a lot of the old Woody Guthrie Ash recordings, you know, where he did those talking blues song, and it's kind of an interesting medium. It's not exactly like a rap, you know, it's kind of maybe a precursor to that, but it's not, you know, sung lyrics. It's kind of a spoken little spoken word, I guess, over a music bed. And so they were always very entertaining to me, and particularly with Dylan, you know, he had a way of kind of putting little subversives but really cool like messages into them, you know, in a line or two of dialogue or something. And so I don't know, I just started kind of riffing on this idea, you know, and kind of writing words down as they'd be spoken in kind of a rhythm.
And so the video itself is very clever, adding to your lyrics, and it was just world premiered on Diddy TV. And so what kind of feedback are you getting with the video just out now?
Well, I've gotten a lot of good Facebook comments and a lot of good feedback from friends on Facebook and on Instagram, where I've kind of posted the video link and everything. And yeah, one of my friends called it my favorite song, or his favorite song of mine that I've done so far. So it's, and you know, and he's heard all my stuff. He's a good friend, so right. And he's a songwriter himself. So I mean, that feels good, you know, to realize that you're still improving, at least in some person's eyes, you know. And I do think it's ground that I haven't chartered before, and so, you know, it does feel good to know that people are enjoying it, and that you know it holds up with the rest of the songs that I've released up to now.
Right. And you mentioned Dylan and Guthrie, and while I certainly wouldn't put your music into kind of a pure folk vein, you certainly are in that realm, and I know that you hit a lot of folk festivals and have placed or won some competitions and folk festivals, and I know you've got a kind of a special place in your heart for the International Folk Alliance. Tell me a little bit about your connection with that organization and a little bit more about what the IFA does.
Yeah, well, the International Folk Alliance, or Folk Alliance International, depending on what side of the Atlantic Ocean I think you're on, is what you call it. But it's presenters and, you know, house concert venues and clubs and people like that are looking to book artists and find artists, but then also artists that, you know, musicians, but then also dance and people that like might make like weavings or clothing or crafts and stuff like that. There's a lot of there's a lot of overlap, but it is mostly musicians and people that are interested in, you know, the folk side of music, in that, like, what the music can do to bring people together from different corners of the world, different ethnicities. You know, it really is an organization that ties with musicians that feel that kind of sense of purpose. You know, there are some. That's not to say there's not very polished, very entertaining, very great bands out there. They go out of their way to get a good cross section of music from all over the world that perform at their international conference. But you know, they do make a point to cater, or to at least provide a space, you know, for musicians that want to try to affect, or, you know, help, you know, change with their music, or that want to be a little political with their music, and that want to explore that possibility. But I think that's important because, you know, so many times a musician or a band can get pigeonholed into the entertainment side of the business, and when they have a lot of success doing music, you know, that is meant to reach a wide audience, and is meant to be entertaining and bring in fans and have a good time, you know, they don't check their moral conscience at the door. They don't check their personhood at the door. And if they see something, you know, that, I mean, they have opinions just like anybody else, and, you know, the pressure to use that megaphone, you know, is going to be there. And you know, I keep thinking back to the Dixie Chicks, you know, when they, you know, whether you agree with what they said or how they said it or not, you know, the idea that they weren't supposed to say it because they were just supposed to be entertainers, and they were just supposed to get up there and play the music for people, you know, because that's what they were supposed to do. I've never subscribed to that, or I've never subscribed to that. I thought that album that came out during all that controversy, Home, I still think, in my opinion, it's their best album, and I think it was the best country album of the 2000s. Right. And I felt like, man, that's a real shame that album got buried in a lot of that controversy. But to talk about their right to say it, whether they're supposed to have a, you know, that this is a debate that needs to get buried. The idea that an actor or a singer or, you know, somebody can't use their public persona to talk about something they care about. Like right now, we're, you know, lots of people are talking about the Black Lives Matter movement, and before it, you know, Me Too movement, you know, came out, you know, and was very strong, and the idea of encouraging people to vote and reforming our electoral process and reforming our police force and all that, like, those are things that everybody should be able to speak their opinion about, because that's what democracy is. Because we need to be, you know, active and learn to listen to each other and learn to engage. And that's a lot of what the Talkin Socrates Blues is about. It's just like, hey, you know, listen a second to what the person's saying, you know, and then respond to that. And, you know, to the best of your ability, try not to attack the person. Try to show how, if they've got something that offends you, you know, show how it offends you, or like talk about that. Because if we can't see each other as people, then we really are kind of devolving down the toilet bowl, so to speak, unfortunately. Right. But I guess, sorry, to get back to Folk Alliance, they're a organization that really does encourage that, and people to be, you know, active, and to be and to write music that has a message. And for me, they've been the most important organization that I've been a part of in terms of meeting other musicians, and finding places to play and people to play with, connecting to house concert networks, connecting to folk festivals like the Kerrville Folk Festival that I've been a part of their new folk competition for 2 years. And then I'm in the finals this year, and they're hoping to have that in October. I don't know whether we'll be live or virtual. It depends on all that. But yeah, that's been and I guess I should say their website is folk.org. It's really easy to remember.
Mm-hmm.
And they have not only the international conference, but the regional conferences. And so been one of those organizations that as I've put in and spent some time with, I've met a lot of really good people and other musicians to collaborate with. And that's so important because, you just, like it or not, the music industry is an industry, and it is a business, and it does, there is that business side to it. And so if you focus too much on the competitive, like I've got to spend this money on PR so that my song gets to the top of the charts, and I've got to beat out, the next people that I'm competing with. If you focus too much on that, you wind up stressing yourself out, I think, and not having the right mentality. So it's nice to have an organization like the Folk Alliance. The International Bluegrass Music Organization is another one that I'm part of. That's a trade organization, and that's a networking organization that helps you, find those people to collaborate with, because that's the thing that I think helps you sustain a long and healthy career is to be just open to collaborating and open to learning from other people musically and culturally.
Yeah, and the Folk Alliance obviously is a good source for that. It does, celebrate that folk tradition of pointing out what's going on in the culture and the society. Obviously, your song, Talkin Socrates Blues, plays off of that. And I know that's the first kind of single you were sort of in the middle of an album when COVID-19 hit. But tell us kind of where Talkin Socrates Blues fits, because it is something that's a direct commentary on our current culture and society. What about the rest of the songs that are being planned for the album? Kind of where do they fall on that spectrum of a message about culture?
Yeah, well, I've been choosing the rest of the songs now, and I've kind of, I'm seeing how the album's shaping up, and a lot of it is where the last couple albums that I've done, Postmodern Man and Straight to Marrow, have been kind of, I don't know if satirical is the right word, but a little more on edgy or on the edge, and in ways Straight to Marrow was a bit of a heartbreak album. Not totally, but this album, at least the songs that I've recorded and the ones that I'm looking at recording, seems to be a happier album in general, and a little more idealistic. And I guess Talkin Socrates Blues kind of fits in that vein, because it's making a political and social commentary, but it's doing it through humor. And at the end of it, it is kind of an idealistic thing of the last words of the song says, well, maybe we can't change anything anyway, but that doesn't mean we can't try, and that's the thing. There's a theologian named Thomas Merton that had a prayer that says, God, I know I am failing every day at trying at pleasing you, but the fact that I want to try to please you, I think does in fact please you. And that idea, the intention is so important. And if we can have the intention of serving each other and being at peace with each other, then maybe, we can give each other the benefit of the doubt when we say something ignorant or we make a mistake, whatever side it comes from, and this idea of just kind of like take a second and look at each other and see each other as human beings. And that's kind of at the core of what the Talkin Socrates Blues is about, and the idea of Socrates' famous quote, "What I do not know, I do not claim to know, or I don't think that I know." And the idea of being aware of your ultimate ignorance in matters that, there's always going to be more to learn. There's always going to be something that you don't know. And the person that thinks they know everything, those are the insufferable people that you kind of want to stay away from.
Well, like I said, I know that you've kind of been in the middle of an album. We're certainly excited that you've been able to release Talkin Socrates Blues, great song and video. But can you give us a sneak peek, perhaps before we let you go, of maybe something else on the album, another song that you've been working on? Could you play something for us?
Yeah, this is actually, as of right now, this is the song I'm planning on closing out the album with. And I actually wrote it at the last, I believe it was the last International Folk Alliance conference that I went to. My friend and I have been driving to Kansas City that day, and we had the news turned off. We were just talking and listening to music the whole time. And when I got to the hotel room and started listening to the news, I learned that the Parkland shootings had happened that morning in Florida. And it was just one of those things of like, wow, not that I felt guilty of not knowing about it, or not being plugged into the news, but just that idea of like, I felt like I had to write. I felt like I had to take a minute and write something, because like, it was just, here we are again, this again. And so the first verse talks a little bit about that. And then the second verse is a little bit of a nod to the Me Too movement that was happening at that time. And then the last verse, I don't know if you see this little figurine that I have back here, but that's a statue of Jesus washing the disciples' feet, which is a statue I picked up in Israel. And it's always been, I've always really liked that story, because it models the idea of service and the practicality of what you can do with the example of Jesus. And I happen to be a Christian, so yeah, there's that in it too. So, but this is, right now, this song is called "Can We?" And unless I come up with a better title for it, that's what it's gonna be. Brother in arms again, what is your quarrel with me? I have a life like yours, a hope to live it free. My sister hurting now from twisted minds of men. Can we break free somehow and loose these ancient chains? Can we love each other? Can we love each other? Oh, can we love each other? See what that can do. My father taught me how to be a righteous Those who abuse their power are held up by our hands. Their riches speak so loud, they drown the poor man's moans. How can we raise our voice and melt their hearts of stone? Or can we sing together? Or can we sing together? Or can we sing together? See what that could do. A teacher walked the earth. He helped the blind to see. He showed a way to give his most to save the least. Those who had walked with him, he washed their feet and prayed. Said, if you'd follow me, do as I've done today. So can we serve one another? Oh, can we serve one another? Can we serve one another? See what that can do. Can we love each other? Can we sing together? Or can we serve one another? See what that can do. Let's just see what that can do.
All right. Well, thank you so much for playing it. That's a wonderful song, obviously with a great message. See what we can do. Love one another and serve one another. Obviously, not enough of either of those things happening in our society right now. But
yeah, it's easier said than done sometimes.
It is. It is.
Start with intention, doesn't it? I guess.
Yes. Yes, it definitely does. Well, that's fantastic. I definitely appreciate you playing that, and looking forward to it eventually getting to an album and being released probably at this point sometime in 2021.
So, yeah.
Kind of who knows, right, with the state of things, but we'll go ahead and wish you the best of luck in trying to get that album together. And that's a fantastic song. So I'm definitely looking forward to hearing that when it comes out on the album.
Thanks, Tim.
All right. Well, it's always a pleasure talking to you, Clint. And thanks so much for talking about your music and the Folk Alliance. And we'll catch up again with you soon.
All right. Thanks a lot, Tim. Pleasure to talk to you.
All right. Take care.
Now, way back at the dawn of what we call education, Socrates said that the secret to his wisdom was that what I do not know, I don't think I do. Now, that's a bit to wrap your head around for me and you. Now, I know I don't know, and I know you don't know. But I don't know if you know you don't know, you know? So maybe we all just stand blind.